We're absolutely delighted that as the second half of this great foray into platinum, we have 3 very important designers who work in platinum. And interestingly, all 3 of them are women. And that will figure into the commentary that is made by some. I'd also like to mention that Maeve Gillies is Scottish and a global Scot. So, as we've been saying today, raw Scotland. And Deirdre Featherstone, we have a marvelous photograph of her at the bench. And I'm always thrilled to see pictures of people who are actually at the bench. And I think with that, Jack should take it away.
Thank you. Right. This is going to be a very informal chat. As I'm from Britain, so I can say this. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. So I think the first thing, can I ask the 3 of you just to very briefly introduce yourselves? Just a few words about Maeve. Maeve Gillies.
Well, my name is Maeve, and it's true, I am actually Scottish. And I am a jeweller, and I have a company called Maevona. We specialise in Celtic-inspired bridal wedding jewellery, and we're based in New York, and we supply to independent retailers across America, Canada, and the UK.
I am Deirdre Featherstone, and we have a small studio, sort of an atelier downtown in Tribeca. We make everything in our studio. We work with our clients directly. And we are actually addicted to platinum, which is all we care about is how we're going to make the next piece. That's our main concern.
Hi, I'm Patricia Gumushin, and I'm running a family business. I'm the 4th generation in the business. And interestingly enough, we're all women, and our motto is also designed by women for women. And I work with my mother, who's 82 years old and still comes to work every day, and my sister.
Right. Thank you, Patricia. Well, you've explained your sort of family background, so maybe I can ask the other 2 what brought you into the jewellery business and designing. So, Maeve, what's your...
Well, my start actually came, my grandparents had an art gallery in Scotland, and they stocked the work of a local jeweller, and I used to be fascinated with everything that was tiny when I was small, probably because I didn't have a television. So that's why I spent so much time looking at things around me, which is hard these days. But I fell in love with, she actually let me come and work with her when I was 15 years old on the bench, and then I went on to take a formal training in jewellery and work in the field of jewellery all around the world. Always wanted to have my own business, but trying to learn lots of information about all the different types of jewellery that I could do, and decided to get into bridal jewellery, as that was an area that was particularly appealing to me, and launched Maevona.
Thank you. Deirdre?
Wow. I think what intrigued me, I got the same report card as you. I would be a much better student if I could stop making miniatures in the back of the classroom. I keep that on my wall today. It's my 4th grade report card, realizing that if you are something, you need to stick with that. And so I was always interested in miniatures. I created pieces of jewelry out of pins and those pearl-headed pins, whatever I could find. And when I was 13 years old, I came into New York City with my friend, and we ended up in the jewelry district. I could not believe that there was an actual industry dedicated to this. I was like, wow. I walked into a place called Myron Toback, had a conversation with the owner of the business. I was 13. The man took me seriously and said, if you need some help, if you'd like to get started, these are the tools that I would recommend. When we won our first Spectrum Award, the 2 people that sat at the table were Joy Toback and her husband Eli, which is pretty amazing. So I think it's just something for me that was intrinsic. My father was a teacher and my mother had a small financial business, and when I told them that this is what I was going to do, they were like, wouldn't you rather be an actress or a singer or maybe just a street artist? Those all seemed more practical. So.
Okay, thank you. So, Patricia, maybe you can lead off telling us what drew you to platinum then. What is it about platinum?
Oh, for me, I mean, anything that's really precious, it only belongs in platinum. Anything, I mean, we use very high-end diamonds, and there's nothing complements diamonds better than platinum, because it has that, not only did it makes the white look whiter, but it reflects better. It's a purer metal. Diamonds are very pure, and it's also, to make jewelry with platinum, it's a much easier and longer standing material to use. I mean, I always find, of course, the contrast between platinum and white gold, and I think white gold is a cheap imitation to platinum. Hate to say, for me, it's either yellow gold or platinum. There's no in between.
Yes, I suppose I should know. I tend to agree on that one. But,
We probably both
yeah.
second and third that.
That's all right. Maeve, what brought you to platinum in particular then?
Platinum for me, it was just so exotic, because I did my jewellery training 6 years on the bench as part of my degree courses in the United Kingdom, and I could never afford it. So I was always making things in copper, and I was making brass, and occasionally I would get to use silver, and platinum was just this next level thing that I could just, if you saw like a granule of it in the jewellery store, you would get to touch it and pass it around the group. So it was something that I really coveted. And then, long story short, I ended up as the head designer for the largest platinum jewellery manufacturer in Europe at Domino. And I spent a few years basically taking what they did and making something new as a new look for bridal in Europe. And their expertise in platinum really blew me away, and I couldn't believe how difficult it was to cast well and cast consistently. And I got obsessed with the idea of making designs that would be a challenge in platinum to see if the casters could pull it off. And I really enjoyed that, making rings that were heavier at the back and had really flowing shapes that would freeze really quickly when they were casting. And so I fell in love with two things at that time. One was platinum and one was bridal, and the two went on to become what I love the most.
Thank you. Deirdre, what about you? What drew you to platinum?
Well, I was working in 18-karat yellow gold, and I particularly like metals that are white. Silver, I started in silver, gone to gold. And then I felt like I wanted to work with something that would speak sort of to a gold design, more expensive stones, more precious materials. And so I experimented, and I did my first piece of jewelry in white gold, because that was kind of all I knew. I sat down at the end of the job, and my husband's uncle is Nico Bongard, who was the partner of Jeannie Schlumberger. And Nico was 93 at the time, and we were having lunch together, and I said, Nico, I'm trying to do this project, and I'm working in white gold. What do you think about white gold? And he takes his 90-year-old spidery hand, and he reaches over like this, and he goes, my dear, I don't think of white gold. If I don't have to, he doesn't have to. He's successful. I don't have to. And we melted that, and we started our first piece in platinum. It was pretty rudimentary. I took a course with the GIA on the platinum fundamentals, and once we had the basics, that was it. 2 minutes of working with platinum, and you're addicted. Everything about it, it wants to participate with you. It's fluid. I don't know, it just wants you to want more. And I think it's a beautiful set-off for both color and for white.
Patricia?
I will I definitely agree with all their views. And one thing that I would have expected you with a lot of colors that you have, also one big bonus with the platinum is that when you use color stones, like I see you have a lot on your ears in your collection, and we do too. When you use white gold with color stones, you always have the problem because it's not really white, it's yellowish. So you've got a rhodium, and a lot of the very precious color stones do not tolerate the rhodiuming. So, I mean, anything that I use, whether it's with emeralds or mother of pearl or crystals or anything like that, tanzanite, I will only use platinum because it's just pure. You just make it, it's there. You don't have to worry after with all these other chemicals that are added to it. And
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's really a very nice material to work with.
You mentioned coloured stones. Tell me a bit more about what stones you like and why. With relating to platinum, of course.
Well, relating to platinum, I usually with platinum I always associate color stones that are more in the bluish tones. Beautiful sapphires, but also really nice pink sapphires also look very nice with platinum. And regretfully, I don't have mine today, but that's my favorite ring. It's a pink sapphire with platinum mounting. And but I wouldn't put green stones with platinum, like emeralds and platinum. It doesn't flatter the color of the green. But anything else looks great with platinum, I think.
Maeve, what about you and coloured stones? Tell me.
There's lots that I love. At the moment, we're doing a lot of coloured diamonds with platinum, and I just really love the coldness of the platinum against it. It makes the colours pop so nicely. So we're using a lot of pink diamonds, yellow diamonds. It's the classic colours. There's accents on the rings for the centre diamond, and it's just lovely colours together.
What about your customers? I mean, do you have to with coloured stones? I mean, do they? Is it something different for them to have coloured stones and platinum? Do you think, or they just accept your wisdom?
Well, because we sell through retail stores, we have to expect the retail stores to give them their wisdom. But we always show our rings in platinum when we photograph them, and we say this is the metal that we recommend, because most of our customers are purchasing centre diamonds, with it being bridal. And we do have people that are buying coloured centres, but they're lesser, and it's oftentimes that they're trying to have a different price point for the ring, so they might be looking at the alternative white metal in
Silver.
conjunction with that. Silver, right. But along that lines, I was just thinking this morning, I don't actually even own any white gold jewellery. Isn't that amazing? I only own yellow gold, rose gold, and platinum. So, yeah, I do, extol the virtues of it to anybody that asks me.
Deirdre, it's fairly obvious that you like colour and platinum. I can see. And also, what we're saying to back up with Patricia about the colours that you're going. What are your views on what coloured stones look good with platinum? Or
Well, I think, interestingly enough, you can attack or direct that both ways, because for me, I think one of my most favorite stones to work with is opal. And the thing about putting opal in platinum, it can either participate with the opal and be a focal part, or it can disappear into opal. And so you can use your thin claws to support something, or you can take a bezel, for instance, and really set off the shape of what's going on. I tend to agree with you. I do like cooler colors in platinum. However, in cases where we are using warmer things, what I try to do is use a stronger warm and set it off. And again, that's where I would be probably more likely to get a disappearing edge, a milligrained edge bezel. One of the things that I feel with so much of the stones that we get to work with, it's really a story about the stones. And the platinum is just there in some cases to re-emphasize the shapes that we're using and just the beauty of what comes out of the earth. I think the thing about platinum is it tells the truth. The stones that we use tell the truth. I think that the honesty of the metal, the participation that you have with it when you're working with it, and the quality, the fact that platinum doesn't have the memory of gold. And it's like taking butter out of the freezer and taking the one that has been on the counter all day. And you're trying to get that on toast. And that butter from the freezer is fighting you. And this other metal, you push it, and that's where it wants to go. It stays where you ask it to. It's not like the New York City subway system. Things don't exactly, but when you it's like the only thing you can control. You put it where it's supposed to go, and it stays there. And it's a very pleasurable experience.
yes. I think there's also another side. I think platinum also produces huge challenges for people working in platinum. Patricia, have you any?
Well, it's a challenge and not a challenge because actually platinum being a harder metal, it's you can solder it better because it doesn't melt so easily. So a lot of our models that we do to eventually make a mold and then produce are made in platinum because the jewelers prefer to solder the pieces with the platinum, whereas if they were to do it, typically models are made in silver because it's less expensive. Things melt and then one breaks, one part breaks, the other one cracks, whereas in the platinum it stays more together. And the jewelers do prefer to use it, and especially when the setters set, if you make a comparison between white gold and platinum, I'm not comparing yellow gold because yellow gold is soft. White gold is very hard, and it's harder to manipulate, to form it and adapt to the stone. Whereas the platinum, they can really get it very, very close to the girdles of the stones and make it really tight. So they prefer.
Yeah, I love, Deirdre, what you said about sort of staying where you put it. I think that's a wonderful way of explaining it. Yeah, yeah. Maeve, do you agree with that, Maeve, or do you find particular challenges working? I mean, it stays where you put it, but does it always go exactly where you want in the first place?
Well, like we were hearing, white gold has a lot of challenges when you work with it, and it's our challenge with working with platinum is more consumers coming us to buy the products and they don't know that platinum is so far superior. And with the prices currently being so close together, we wish that we would sell a lot more than we do, and it's really important that people are educated on the differences so they can make that choice. And there is no comparison if you want that pure, real metal. But yeah, our problems are more definitely with not having enough people buying the platinum version. That is what I would like the most, is to have everybody buying only platinum.
Thank you.
I think to add to what Maeve said also, I think years ago when gold was so cheap, platinum retained its value, and people were a bit scared of platinum because of that. But today, there's very little difference and a big return on the investment. So I think today it's a very easy sell. People don't typically go with white gold because they think they're going to save a few dollars. It's not worth it. They won't do it.
Do you find that do consumers understand, customers, what platinum is and why?
I get to the point when somebody comes in and says, yeah, I want it in, white gold, platinum, whatever. And I'm like, you're going to have to leave if you don't know the difference. And these guys are like, now come on. You've got to teach people the difference. I'm like, okay, I'll teach them the difference. I said, and I usually start, and I don't mean to say it like this, but I'm like, I'll say, we don't work in white gold. And the face kind of goes with it, and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. But we just don't provide a product. And, there's one thing about providing a product. Everything, I want people to take their jewelry out, wear it, dumpster dive in it, do whatever you need to do in it. Come back to me when it breaks, I'll fix it. But to come back to me because the plating wore off something that I made you, that's not okay. That means I gave you something that wasn't honest from the beginning. That I'm not okay with that. I will say that in terms of springs and hinges and clasps and those kinds of things, if I need to, in certain cases for a mechanism, I will roll down either a piece of 18-karat yellow, spring gold, hard plate, or we'll take down a piece of white gold, hard plate, but we never plate them. We always leave them so that you can see what we've done. I like to be able to tell the story about, well, we use this here because the properties of this are better for this. I like it to represent its properties. So, I would say.
Maeve, you're selling into retailers. Mm-hmm. Do you think the people on the shop floor know enough about them, what they're selling? Do you get any sort of feedback?
No.
You be honest as you like.
Well, there's a pursuit of the easy sale, which is the biggest challenge for everybody that's involved in the industry, where it's just a bit more complicated once a customer walks in, and once a white ring, where a customer doesn't really know the difference, it just takes a bit longer to upsell them or to explain the difference. And, on the off chance that the customer might walk away, they'll just sell them the white gold version. So there's a lot to be done in terms of really educating the public so they understand what that commitment is they're buying. I mean, an engagement ring, you're buying it for your lifetime and you expect it to wear and last that long. And, we actually launched in platinum only when we first launched the business, and we only gave in to adding 18 karat white gold as a, to give in to some of our best stores that we're saying, people really, really want this, but they can't afford your platinum jewelry. And that was, many years ago, and now the price of platinum, there's really no excuse at all. So, I would definitely say that the salespeople in the stores are one of the best weapons if they're well educated to bring that message to customers. But it's a beautiful product, and there's absolutely no argument if you can see the two together and have it explained to you in a nutshell.
As well as
Thank you.
feel it,
Oh yeah.
the feel
Yes,
of it.
difference, isn't
Yeah.
there? So, what I thought I'd do is just final question, and then throw it open to the floor if any of you have any questions. But what could be done more to educate the public about the wonders of platinum? I mean, unfortunately, they're not all in the room here. But I mean, I think what you've said really is the message that needs to get across. How can that get across to the public? What do you think? How would you market? So let's start, Tricia.
I would say with the platinum advertisement, I mean, the Platinum Guild has done a lot more publicity in the past, 5-10 years than before. But if they were to want to push more the platinum, it's the benefit of the platinum, that it's really the pure metal. It's not, it's the real metal. If you want white, that it's platinum, that anything else that's white is not really, it's an imitation. And I think that would get the message to the public more.
I think one of the things that, we have a small atelier, so we're working directly with our clients, and one of the things when somebody does not have an understanding, we've made a series of the same thing in every metal: silver, gold, 18 karat white, 18 karat yellow, and platinum at the end. And we put those metals into the person's hand. And I think for a lot of people, jewelry is an emotional experience, but it's also a tactile experience. And one of the things that I think is, as soon as somebody touches or feels platinum, or the way I drop a wedding band into someone's hand and the way it hits, they're like, okay, I'm here, we're done, we're good. The Platinum Guild has been amazing, especially, for us, because we are a small company, and I don't do any advertising, and they've really had our back, and they've really been out there and showcased what we do, and because of what we're working in, and because I think we're all on the same page. So that's a pretty exciting thing for all of us, I think.
Anything to add, Maeve? I know you already said a bit.
Well, I would just say that with platinum representing the excellence that it does, is seeking out those that represent excellence in the industry and helping them. I know that the Platinum Guild is doing a new initiative, Hall of Fame, with the best retail salespeople across the country who are known to be able to upsell and explain the benefits. So that's really critical. And then there's so much direct messaging to the public these days with social media that's really where the power can happen, where an everyday person can take a message to the public and explain it to them. So I think a lot more real life stories from real life people that have experienced platinum and pushed out there into the world directly and honestly from people that actually are wearing and using it is the best way.
Fine. Thank you very much. I think we have some time. Anybody? Any questions on the floor, either individually or to the three here? Anybody would like to?
Yes, I'll answer that one. Typically, our business is, in spite of the fact that it's jewelry and you see, women are the consumers. In our industry, finding a woman as a bench jeweler is still a pretty rare thing. To find women running companies where we are focused on excellence And this is, our industry is a man's industry. It's, you know, it's very, very hard to find women who start, you know, and have the time to actually apprentice the whole way through the system. And culturally, in a lot of countries, that's not who they train. So it is unusual to find, I think, this is my opinion, the others can speak, but I think it is unusual to find women who are sort of steering the direction of this metal in this industry. What about you guys?
I would just say it's very obvious because women are wearing engagement rings. So as a woman designing an engagement ring, I like to road test everything and check how it feels and how it looks, how it performs, how it lasts. And that's my customer as well. They want something that can last a lifetime and still look good and be modern and classic and all the other things that you need to roll into this tiny little scaled down little work of art that they're purchasing that's so important to them.
Right, but why is it jewelry is close as a man's industry, but if it's women who are wearing the jewelry, like why is it?
And, you know, women live in homes and really create what the home looks like typically, but men build them. It's a similar thing. It's just, you know, culturally, traditionally, use of tools is much more of a gender-based, you know, that's where it starts. I mean, you know, did you get a little hammer and screwdriver kit when you were 3? Probably not, you know. I did. And it wasn't a toy one either.
Oh,
It doesn't.
platinum looks like silver, is that what you said?
Other way around.
No. Well, no, there's a huge difference between silver and platinum. I mean, you're not, but you would see it if I were to show you a ring. That's, well,
Can I just add on that point? The problem is they probably hadn't looked very closely. It's only when someone said, why hasn't this tarnished over 100 years? Why is it still white? I think that's the big difference, that it looks the way it did originally.
yeah, I think that's the fundamentally is that the way it wears, the way it feels. But I mean, in the museum, they were just little specks. It wasn't really a complete piece. Today, anybody, you gave them a silver ring or a platinum ring, they would recognize it immediately.
What drives the value of platinum?
I guess
Rarity.
the market.
The market, rarity, industrial use, technical use, jewelry use. Didn't I read some, wait. He- Well, isn't there some,
Marketing.
I believe I saw a statistic which probably came through the Platinum Guild that in the entire world supply of platinum can fill, and correct me if I'm wrong here, 1/10 the size or 1/2 the size of an Olympic swimming pool. Am I somewhere close to that? I always get the essence. Up to your ankles.
And
in an
the
Olympic,
gold in the world can fill 5 swimming pools, 4, 3.
3 swimming pools.
Okay.
I mean,
I
you-
enhanced it.
Yeah, and I can always give you the essence of a fact, not the exact fact, but something like that.
Okay.
I think in New York City, what you see is, you know, in our area, you do see a lot of Jewish people in the industry, but I think across the board, it is not a specifically Jewish industry. Yeah, well, you know, there's been a lot of, I've thought about that. I mean, the whole merchandising and the collection, I don't know if I can address that so much, but I can address the fact that traditionally men were the ones being trained for careers, and this is a career. And you know, I would attribute it to that. What do you think?
Well, I think that also for mostly, I mean, the jewelry industry, you say, is mostly Jewish. It's a lot of minorities, actually. Indians, Jewish people, Armenians, people who are a bit nomads. But also the value is in such minimal size that you really have to trust the people who work with you. And very often it's a generational thing. The father, the grandfather doesn't, because they trust them. They're supposed to trust them. They hopefully trust them. But whereas women in the industry, I think there's more and more women who are designers of jewelry. And I think there are definitely a lot more. And one thing that I do like, I'm the designer of my company. The one thing that my big forte is earrings, because I feel that, you know, a ring doesn't complement really your body. The earring is the first thing you see. It's in your face. I would go out without a ring, but I would not go out without a pair of earrings. For me, it's an instant glow. But often I will go to my shop if an earring is not the clip is not put on right, especially the tightness, sometimes when it's with a clip. And men who do not wear them don't understand that if it's too tight, you'll be dying after an hour. So if I do catch one of those, I put it on one of my jeweler and I say, now you wear it. And trust me, they understand what we mean.
Can I ask the next question? Yeah. Go to the front first, and then we come back.
I think the question, I think the question is, as an investment, which is a better investment, platinum or gold? Is that the question? Yes, okay.
I would say both. I mean, it's in the value of the metal. I mean, if you buy today anything that's yellow gold or platinum and tomorrow you change your mind, you want to go and sell it, it's the value of the metal. That's what you paid is what you're going to get.
But there's another thing, which is, are you defining investment as only as monetary or other? Because there are different, investment can mean any number of things.
Right.
Not just the financial.
If you're building catalytic converters, you're going to need the platinum. If you're if you feel like you look better in gold, then that's what you should choose. I think those are decisions investment-wise. I mean, that for me is like a monetary decision and not an emotional decision. I think precious metals, you know, in my small world, those are all about the emotional. You know, it's like, I just like that. I want that. You know, you're seeing a big interest in pink again, pink gold now. And, you know, these are interesting, it's just personal. Investment-wise, there's less platinum and there's more gold.
Good that.
Fascinating.
I am surrounded by the most incredible women on the planet, and I have 2 male jewelers that work with me. And the 2 male jewelers, every Friday I threaten to pierce their ears because the same thing that Patricia was saying. I'm like, excuse me, everything else is falling down. I'd like to see the earrings sitting up, okay? Anyway, so I went in, we had 8 or 9 engagement ring projects. They were incredibly high stress, and I walked in and I picked this piece of tanzanite up and I said, I'm done with all this. I'm making myself a fingernail. And my girls were like, oh no, not again. Not one of these projects. I dedicated 6 months of perfectly good time to making an articulated thumbnail. I need 7 more. I will never need another manicure. I finished the job. I went to get on my motorcycle. I couldn't turn the blinkers on without metal hitting the... So I ended up cutting it in half, putting an element at the top, which of course had to be platinum and detailed with diamonds. But these were for me, and every time I think we've done something totally, completely serious and we've done it well, I like to do something where I'm pushing not just myself, but everybody in our studio to think a little bit outside the box. Everybody comes in with an idea in our studio, jewelers, non-jewelers, and they'll ask or they'll say, can we make this? Yeah, we can make that. And I'm going to be asked those things by clients. So I like to try to make things that I didn't think of before. My best ideas, and I'm sure you found this, my best ideas and your ideas are always something that have been requested. And you're thinking, yeah, on the front, you're in the front half of the studio, and you're like, I can do that. And you go to the back, and you're like, how the hell am I going to do that? And then they want a deadline, too.
So I've got to ask, I'm sorry. Maeve, what's the sort of the worst or the strangest commission you've been asked to produce then?
Worst or the strangest commission? I think that for me it comes down more to the person that you're working with. I don't think I would mention any names, but the most memorable, challenging commissions are definitely from people that will give you a brief and then change it every time that you speak with them.
Okay, what about Patricia?
I would say the funniest one probably was from my mother, who likes to do things that are a little bit eccentric. And we had a stone dealer from Germany who had these very unusually, who had 90% of his collection were beautiful color stones. But he had a little stash of these very unusually carved color stone. And one was a little pink tourmaline pig. And my mother loved it. And she says, I've got to have that pig. And my sister, who's more the salesperson and I'm the designer, she bought the pig. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with this pig? And my sister's like, how do you sell a pig to a woman? So we came up with a little pig which sits on a bed of mud, which is all colored brown diamonds, and the tail is with the tiniest little diamonds, so like this, and we sold 6 of them. The funniest one was the first one was from we were at the show, and literally my sister was like, I'm embarrassed. I said, come on, it's cute. And one of the retailer came and says, I have the client, he's gonna buy it like this. He was one of the big pork business in Texas. My wife will love it, and sure enough, we've sold them.
I'm going to gather we have the same stone dealer, because one of the young ladies that works with me said, I need the bear. I'm like, we don't do shapes like that.
Yeah.
She made me mount it like a steer, like a trophy, like that you'd have a bear's head on the wall. So she's like, can I wear that? I'm like, absolutely.
That's fun.
Do you have any more questions from the audience? The front there.
My question's off-base. It's addressed to Ms. Featherstone. I've been, you ladies are extremely impressive to me. I'm a technician. I'm not a, jewelry person or anything, but to know what you guys know is extraordinary. You've got these pictures running in the back. There's a picture of allegedly your shop, and it's got a Porsche part. Is that for real?
That's big metal. I didn't make that. It's big metal and it's motivation. Yes, that is we one of the things that when I set up my shop downtown, one of the first jobs I had was I was working as a bicycle mechanic. So I went from being a bicycle mechanic, I rebuilt a couple cars, every gift that was ever given to me, I took it apart, I put it back together, and out on the lawn, and my mother would be like, didn't you just get that? I'm like, yeah, it'll be back together. Anyway.
I think we're going to have to wind up now. So can I obviously thank the 3 people sitting here to my left. I think it's been interesting thing. And can I Also, you would have heard mentioned several times the Platinum Guild International, and they have some representatives there, and I'd like to thank them for their support. Thank you very much indeed.